Hello and welcome back to another video today here again on Forza Horizon 5 to test out another week's brand new car pass car, in this case the McLaren 620R, which has a 3.8 litre V8 producing 612 horsepower and 620 newton meters of torque. It weighs only 1,420 kilos, which puts it here in Forza at S1 class 864 PI. To start off with stock. Be interesting to see what kind of upgrades and things are available later. In reality, it will set you back £250,000 here in the UK, which seems like a lot for what is basically a slightly modified 570S with a lot of things stripped away. So yeah, it seems like a lot of money, although if you think about it another way around, it's basically a very exclusive GT4 car, essentially, that is road legal. Which is kind of more what McLaren will try and sell it to you as, which kind of makes it more of a sensible, well, not sensible, but more of a sensible proposition. Anyway, let's go and see what it's like. So, as with all other new cars, I took it for 5 laps around the festival to see what the best time I could set in it was. Now, I was expecting it to be pretty good, given that it's essentially a GT4 car for the road. Immediately you can tell the acceleration is pretty exceptional. Well, on paper, the 0 to 62 time is under 3 seconds. That is kind of understandable, although from 0 to 60 wasn't really what I was doing here in a sort of hot lapping track scenario. It did kick the back out slightly if you wanted it to, though, as you saw through that corner. A bit of a twitch from the back, which was slightly surprising, but it was never feeling like it was going to let go or anything. You kind of felt like the grip would save you no matter what, which kind of makes sense with that big wing on the back, which is basically straight off a GT4 car. I was saying it was similar. The only difference is with a brake light integrated, obviously, for being legal on the road. But yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see what the time this car sets. Similar cars, same sort of PI range, are setting kind of 101s and 102s. So it was, rather unsurprisingly, quite fast around a track, which kind of makes sense given it's basically a GT4 car for the road. So it's sitting in 12th place on the leaderboard with a 102.563, so about the time I thought it would set. So faster than the Ferrari J50 that's 857 PI, but slower than the Noble M600, which is 877 PI. So not all that bad. It is slightly higher than a few other 860-ish cars, so it kind of sits slightly higher, I think, than its PI would suggest, but that's not really all that much of a surprise given, like I said, it is effectively a racing car. So if we head over to the upgrade shop and take a look at engine swaps, we find there's one 5.2 litre V10 swap, which is from a Lamborghini now, maybe? Bit of an odd engine to have in a McLaren. You've got an all-wheel drive swap, which actually reduces the PI, and interesting. Oh, interesting. I like that. So you've got some Vorsteiner parts, which I'm guessing... Oh, wow. Not sure what I think about that. What's the Forza Aero look like? Oh, ugh. But that is quite impressive. Not sure why there's Vorsteiner parts for what is basically already a track car, and I'm not sure I like them. Why is there a gap there? I mean, it's cool that that's an option, but I'm not sure what I think. Oh, it removes the roof scoop. But that really does make it look like a modified 570. Anyway, that option is there if you want it. Not sure a chassis mount wing really looks the part as a GT4 car. I mean, that's quite impressive. I'm not sure though. So yeah, you've got a Vorsteiner kit, you've got a V10, and everything else is going to be pretty much as it was. So I did just have a play around with upgrades to see if it's possible to get it into A class. It is, but it kind of requires drag tyres, and strangely enough the V10 engine that I was looking at actually lowers the horsepower, but it is possible with some horrible wheels, which probably weren't necessary actually because the engine brought it down quite a lot, but with the combination of horrible wheels, drag tyres and an engine swap, I've got it to 796. Right. So given a lot of the parts are already basically racing parts because it's a racing car, I was able to, well, basically, apart from pulling out the track width slightly and making the tyres slightly fatter, add power basically because it already handled pretty well. The only thing it was lacking is the speed at the slightly higher end around the circuit. So now that it's the top of S1, well, let's see how it compares to some of the other cars I've taken around. So, as with the stock version of the car, I took it for another 5 laps around the festival, and the aim with, well, S1 class cars is to get into, well, the low 59s if we're trying to get to the top of the leaderboard where the XJ220 TWR is, but in the end, if it gets into a 59, it's done reasonably well. It's kind of average if it manages that, and if it gets into a low 59, it's pretty good. Anything slower than that is kind of, well, terrible, really. So yeah, the added power did give it that extra bit of go down the straights. In the corners it was pretty much the same as it was before, having only really adjusted tyre width slightly in terms of handling stuff, and the rest was power, which was really the way this car needed to go. It already handled very, very well, being basically a GT4 car. It did feel always slightly twitchy and on edge, but not like it would let go and spin out, but you could get the back out if you pushed it, if you wanted to. It did have to lift slightly and brake through the final corner a little bit there as we go across the line. The best time I could get out of the McLaren 620R with its mods to the top of S1 class was a 59.960, so 59.9, same as an RX-7 that I previously took round, which isn't that good, but yeah, it's into the 59s, so not bad going at all. I've had cars mostly in the 1 minutes recently. Nothing as slow as a 101 yet, but yeah, the slow 59 kind of makes it sort of average, really, in the middle. But it felt good to drive, and no doubt if somebody who knows what they're doing with tuning gets their hands on it, it could go quite fast, I think, around there. I don't think it's going to be the fastest car in S1. I don't think it's going to be beating some of those slightly overpowered Jags that people have. But I think it could be made into a reasonable car that would at least be competitive. Not necessarily the fastest, but I think it could be quite good. But there we go. It's been fantastic to drive the 620R. I'd probably slightly prefer it in its stock configuration, so I probably will be putting it back. But not too bad at all in S1. It's kind of in the middle of all the other cars I've built to that category. So yeah, not bad going. I think it could be quite a good car. And there's another McLaren in the festival playlist this week. There's the 675 LT, which I will be taking a look at in a video in the coming days. Very much looking forward to trying that one out. And another car I'm really looking forward to is the 911 Speedster, which we've got in Car Pass in a couple of weeks. But yeah, the McLaren's been good. It's another brand new car here in Car Pass. It's been nice to drive, but not necessarily quite as fast as I'd have expected, but not all that bad at all. So yeah, definitely enjoyed driving this one. But for now, for a first look at this brand new McLaren, that is going to be all. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.